Okay, so welcome. This is my episode with Tara Burke. There are many, many reasons why I wanted to have her on as a guest. She is a jack of all trades. So tell us a little bit about your background, everything you do, how you got into dogs, all those good things.
So I spent 17 years in the military, some on active duty. The majority of it was in the reserves. 10 years as a police officer. 5 of those I was canine handler, canine unit supervisor. Now I have a couple dogs, like 7, still not as many as you. So I'm still not.
You're only 2 behind.
Yeah, and who knows what next year will bring, right?
Yeah.
But we've got 3 shepherds. One of them being my retired canine. We've got 2 Dutch Shepherds, a Malinois, and then, of course, we have Ike, the Dane, who everybody loves.
Everyone loves Ike.
It's hard not to. He's special. But I started back in, 2008. I took my first online dog training course. And for a long time, I just kind of messed around, doing it for fun with my own dogs, helping friends. A lot of it was, trick kind of stuff. What tricks can we teach the dogs, that kind of thing. And then when I got a part in 2016, my literal world changed. When I became the canine unit supervisor, I took that I took that very seriously. I knew enough to know what I didn't know, and so my life literally became learning dog stuff. Initially, obviously, police stuff, and then from there, it kind of just on my own time, I would pay to go to different seminars and learn from different people. Because again, I was smart enough to know what I didn't know, but I knew I wanted to learn. I wanted to be better. I wanted my dog to be better.
Yeah.
She literally never does this.
Hey. Dogs always do the things that they never do when we don't want them to do them.
Right?
During a trial or during a podcast. It's always something. What was your training like during your shifts? How was it in your department? Were you able to train him while you were working?
Yeah, for sure. So we work 12-hour shifts, and anybody, your husband included, who's been a police officer knows, you have highs and lows during your shift, right? Especially I work day shift, so Sunday morning at 6 a.m., there's not a whole heck of a lot going on in the town. So there was always opportunities throughout the day to get him out and do things. And a lot of that was on me, right? What was I willing to do? So I would always do things that I knew I could do on my own. Obedience. Articles. I would lay tracks. If I could check out our training aid narcotics, I would do that. But articles, tracking, and obedience were always 3 things I could do on my own every single day. And I did. Some of that was sheer boredom, right? I can't stand just sitting in a car and doing nothing. There's only so many cars you can stop in a day. But some of that was I want to be better. And it was, ironically, those 3 things were always what he was best at. Not competition obedience, right? Just regular police dog compliance can heel next to me kind of obedience.
Real life stuff. You don't need a focus skill when you're going to chase down the bad guys.
I'd pull into a parking lot and watch somebody walk through the parking lot, from the store to their car or whatever the case may be. Or even if they were just out in the park walking, and I would literally then when they got away, I would watch where they went, and then I would get him out and let him track where they just walked. Because it's as close to real life as you can get, right?
Hopefully.
Listen, nobody wants to look at my face anyway, so.
Yes, we all do. Apparently, a lot of people do. On your questions, you have a lot of secret admirers.
Somebody is messing with me, and I need to figure out who it is.
I don't think so. They sounded pretty genuine. Retired with a part. What was that process like? Because a lot of departments are really difficult about taking the dogs.
So it's a really good question. And my agency was very different. So we actually purchase our dogs. They pay for the dog up front, and then you pay the town back. They would take a stipend out of my paycheck every month until he was paid off. I was fortunate that I was in a position back. I got him in 2016. By 2017, I was in a position where I said, you know what? I'm just going to pay him off because, listen, the world's a crazy place. There are some handlers at my agency that got fired, and even though they purchased their dogs, the department still took the dog from them, and I instantly felt bonded to this dog. I was like, I don't want to be without this dog. So I'm going to buy him and decrease the likelihood, if God forbid something happens, the department taking him back. So by the time I decided to leave in 2021, and just for clarity purposes, I didn't retire. I only had 10 years in total. I just decided to do dog training full time. And so it wasn't really, everybody, they didn't question it, right? A part was coming with me. He was paid off. He had been paid off for years. And they weren't separating us.
That's awesome. Yes, you hear horror stories online about even people willing to pay for their dogs or not getting them, pups that are getting out, or even if the dog's retiring. So that's always pretty sad, because the last thing you want to do is see them end up in like shelters, or just somewhere where they're not going to be loved
Not
by
be
someone.
thriving,
Yeah.
I like to. Apart's very lucky, and I'm very lucky that even at 9, he's still young enough that like we're here at Sean's.
He's 9.
Yeah, he's 9. I know, and
Would have
he'll
never
work
guessed
all
that.
weekend. All weekend he'll be out there teaching decoys. Like it's awesome for him. He loves it, and so he's got his BT in American Schutzen. I'm gonna do his scent work 1 in March, and then he's imprinted on black powder now, but he's not great. So we're gonna see how it goes past that.
Doesn't he have his PDC?
He does.
Yeah. You forgot about that. Don't
He
worry, I
has-
got you. I was there when he got his PDC.
Yes, you were.
He's such an awesome dog. I can't believe he's 9. So, just to clarify, Tara's at a Janet and Sean seminar this weekend, and Apart's helping teach all the new decoys. I guess I wouldn't really call that retirement. He's living the good life, so that's so
Well, he
awesome.
doesn't have to out anymore, so that counts as retirement. It makes him
Okay.
happy. He gets to bite, but doesn't have to out.
Yeah, that's true. He gets to do his own thing. John,
Best outfit.
he's blurry. So we usually try to match. So we got the green on green.
Lord.
I like it.
Oh, there it is.
I love his full head of hair.
Thanks. So introduce us to your dogs. Obviously, a lot of the people that will be watching this podcast, I feel like, know your dogs. I've been following Tara for a long time and was lucky enough to meet her at State Line probably 2 years ago. And then again at Jersey Devils, and we've seen each other a few times. So I definitely know of her dogs, but tell us about the dogs that you have, where you got them from, what your goals are for each dog.
So I'll go in age order, I guess. Apart being the oldest, he's 9. He was actually bred in Slovakia, sold to the Netherlands, and then from there to a vendor in North Carolina, which is where I got him. My goal for him is that scent work 1. Like I said, I'm gonna see how he progresses after that with the black powder. I would like to continue on that, but who knows? Until he can't do it anymore, he'll be coming to Sean's seminars and helping teach people. He absolutely loves it, and he's so consistent and so reliable that it's super safe for him. Even if new decoys kind of mess up, he's safe every time.
Yeah.
Obviously, next in line is everybody's favorite Ike. He just turned 6, which is hard to believe, because I feel like there's so much untapped potential in that dog. Like, I kind of just started messing with him for fun, and maybe we'll get into that story later as to why I did
So
it.
the fur jacking thing you did the other day.
Yeah. But see, here's this, like, nobody takes me seriously, so nobody will help me to see if he can actually do it. I don't know that he could actually handle the pressure, but I would love to try.
Well, if you ever come to New Jersey, we got you.
Thank you. Goal for him, scent work 1. Ironically, he's worse with articles than he is with like doing black powder detection. So I kind of have to check the block on the scent work 1 in order to be able to move on for scent work 2 and 3, which I think he will do really well with. So that's goal with him. And past that, I don't know, because Danes are so weird. Like, they're totally fine one day, and then all of a sudden they're like an old man on you. So I'm enjoying what I can while he's still showing me he's young and able.
Yeah.
Then there's Lincoln. I got Ike from a breeder here in South Carolina, by the way, in the upstate. She's awesome. Got Lincoln is just turned 5. He is from Taylor Walton, who has a business both up in Maine, but also she lives down in South Carolina. I don't know what my goals are with him right now. I'm kind of at this weird like impasse where he knows all the behaviors for the 2s. We trialed in the 2s once. We passed obedience. We decided that wasn't a day to call off, so we didn't pass protection.
I've been there.
It happens. Sometimes they don't go. Sometimes they don't call off. It is what it is. But I just, I'm struggling. He struggles as the scenarios go on and the stress compounds. His brain starts to unravel a little bit. And he doesn't get dirty. Like, his default is come back to mom always. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to come back to mom. Like, instead of out and guard, like, he'll not auto out, but he'll out and return instead of staying in the guard. So little things like that. So I don't know what our goals are. I'm kind of trying to just work through some of these issues and see where we can kind of go from there. Yeah. We have, I have Grant. As always, forget about Grant. He's like my forgotten child. He's actually from Mike Frost, who's there in Jersey, Precision Dog Sports, from the Rock Lucia repeat letter. Grant he is what he is. He's pretty nervy, but he is phenomenal phenomenal with helping me with pet dogs. It doesn't matter what, like I have dogs at the end of the leash going crazy, and Grant, he's just perfect. He's so neutral. He's great for that. So that's kind of his life, and he's
Sometimes that's more important than a dog to take on the competition field.
100%.
So
100%. It kills me because when he does bite, his entries are freaking amazing, but his nerve just isn't there. But he really is 10 out of 10 good boy on that kind of stuff. Then Reagan is next in line. Reagan is from Jamie at Vogel House. We tried to breed her in October, and unfortunately it didn't take. I think we just missed our window. So we're going to try to see about repeating the litter or repeating the breeding in an upcoming heat cycle. So trial plans are a little bit in the air based on that, because I personally want to give her bred while she's still young, because I feel like that gives me more time to trial. I'd rather breed her young and trial her a little bit older, because female shepherd maturity's doing her very well. The longer she works on things, the better she becomes.
yeah.
I would like to do a BT with her here very soon, but that's going to depend on heat cycle. She get in obedience with her heat cycle. I don't know how your girls are, but like her obedience goes from like flashy to totally flat in heat.
I'm traumatized from my dogs being in heat and having them sport dogs. I'm like the worst person to talk to about this because they both kill me.
And it's always around trial. Always
Single time. Every time I've trialed Savvy, every single time, and mind you, she's in the twos now. She's been in heat every time.
Miserable.
Yeah. So
My ultimate.
I don't need to tell you, and you don't need to tell me because we've both been there and we know how it is.
I would like to do her one maybe later this year. And I think then after her one, you and I had kind of talked about this. I want to switch her to American Schutzen. Her barking behavior is just so beautiful, and her detection's really great. So that's kind of where I want to shift with her after her one, and PSA is if we can be successful there.
Yeah.
Then I have the two youngsters, right? Truman, who's the Malinois. He is both of these dogs are from Alyssa and Josh up in New Hampshire. He is just turned, well, I take that back. He turned a year in November, so he's just over a year, and I'm just having so much fun with him. It's so neat to have a dog that I feel like I'm doing the right things with and teaching things the right way, and he's willing to do them. And so
he seems super nice.
I'm not one to, I have nothing to do with it, but I do enjoy him. I think he's a nice dog. He's very clear-headed, very solid in all the work. Like nothing bothers him. You know what I love doing with him is detection. He's a phenomenal little detection dog. And I'm really excited to see where he goes. We talked about maybe trying to do PDC in the fall, but then I'm like, what's the rush? I'll probably just wait till next year. And then Nixon, she's our Dutchie out of Josh and Alyssa as well. She's on the Kano Rage litter, which was their first Dutchie litter. She is an absolute spitfire. Love her. She's super well-balanced dog across the board. Like, can come out and do the work, but also like super goofball, great with dogs, great with people, all the things. Just very well-rounded dog. She's going to be slower. Like when I tell you this dog is a donkey, one of her litter mates owners got her a patch that says thick fillet because she's like my fat girl, but she doesn't eat too much. She's built like a linebacker. She really is. She's just a big girl, and she was just zero coordination and obedience. So that is going to be what holds us up, not the bite work.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the times, I don't know about your experience, but my boy dogs are usually more slower to mature, or just boy dogs in general, like client dogs that I've had and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, every dog's different. I've never seen Rage compete, I don't think, but obviously I think everyone at this point, everyone on the East Coast has seen Kano compete. So I'm not surprised that she's a nice dog.
Yeah, and that was a super nice pairing. And Rage is, you know what I love so much about Rage is her personality is kind of just like Nixon. Just super well-rounded, like happy-go-lucky, goofy. And she's a dog that when you watch her bite, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's like doing the thing. But I'm telling you, having been in the bite suit, she absolutely crushes your leg. Crushes. It's hard to tell. I don't know what it is about like her body, but it doesn't look like it. But I'm telling you, if you could see the bruise on my leg, you would understand.
Oh, so she's a leg dog? What were your favorite things about being a canine handler? Your least favorite? How did that work? What were the best and worst parts?
The best part is obviously going to work with your best friend every day. You know, I didn't work in a huge agency where I had a partner that was in the car with, and I'm a fairly social person, right? Like I like to talk to people and be around and do things. So being in the car by myself was miserable, but having him with me and just knowing that, look, no matter what, even if I get out on a call, because not every cop is a phenomenal cop. I had my moments too, but knowing that no matter what, he had my back, it made life so much better.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite part, honestly, was our initial training. Just wasn't great. And I didn't know that at the time. Obviously, I know that now, and I hate that for him because I feel like he got gypped, and I did to a certain degree too, in our initial training.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that are on this dog journey with us, whether it be, with police work or sport or just working dog stuff, I think a lot of people can relate to that because we all started somewhere. And a lot of the times I feel like we all started somewhere probably that we shouldn't have, but we didn't know better
Yeah.
at the time. And it
Yep.
was a learning experience. Some people get really lucky and they're able to be thrown into the good stuff right off the bat. But I think most of the people I know, they didn't have that experience. So I could definitely relate to that. I'm sure a lot of other people can.
I'm certain.
But luckily, our dogs are resilient, especially Bart. Obviously, he's not thinking about, all those times. Right now, he's just enjoying his weekend, getting to
Yes.
pick a bunch of people.
He's going to be very happy.
Yeah. So, with detection, how did you get into it? And same thing, what are your least favorite, your favorite things about it? I know you're super into it. I love watching your stories about it. All the dogs do it. That's what I want to do with my dogs. I need to do a setup.
I absolutely, I do love it. I nerd out about it. Cameron Ford is my mentor in the scent work side of things. And I got into it because of a part, right? Like, because I had to with him. And it kind of evolved from there. One of the people, I'll tell you this story, quick little story. Somebody who I worked with at the police department didn't like me at all. Like, actually said that if I was in a shooting, he wouldn't come help me. And he was also a canine handler and had told us at canine training one day, he's this little chihuahua. Oh, I have the chihuahua imprinted on marijuana. And I was like, I went home and I looked at back. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do that. So I started just messing around with him, and he turned out to be really, really good at it. And then the better he got at it, the more I learned about how to train it. And then I was like, all my dogs are going to do this. This is awesome. It's fun. It's something that most of them do naturally anyway, and they want to do. And I just, like I said, I nerd out about it. I nerd out about how odor works and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love detection. I obviously don't have nearly as much experience as you do, but we have a few. I have like 2 to 3 drug dogs. One is like completely finished. That's Kiki.
Yeah.
We've done bomb dog stuff like that, but obviously you train a ton more. That's something I want to do once we move, and that goes into my next question. So, what do you think? I know that you have a setup in your garage. What do you think is the best setup? Like concrete, because I've seen people do that. Using the bins, which I know you have. What's the best setup? But what's also your dream setup? Because I'm sure that that's something that you thought of too.
So I don't know that there's like a best setup. I think it really depends on the dog. So some people like to start with throws where they have like a towel or a tube that's got odor and they do throws and have the dog brings that back, and that's how they imprint odor. Me personally, I really like to use the elbows. I'm talking about, like, you have the wood and then the toilet flange with the elbow. That's my favorite. And I do an indirect reward with my dog. So I start all of that totally free shaping. So I take the elbow off. I put just the wooden piece on the ground with the toilet flange, and I free shape just them going to that. Then I can add odor. And it's always, for me, again, to start, indirect reward, come back to me, click and come back to me. And I love it. I've been successful with it. I've seen a ton of other methods. That is by no means the way. It is a way, and it's a way that I'm lucky has worked for me.
Yeah. And obviously it's worked over and over with multiple different dogs, multiple breeds, ages. So obviously.
And I'm lucky. I'm lucky for that, But I've hit pet dogs along the way, or even police dogs that have not done great with that. But I think my downfall is always that I have time with my personal dogs to do the free shaping piece, and with other dogs I don't, and I think that's a huge drawback to that. As far as like dream setup, probably a detection. I would like to add a detection wall, like an actual wall with holes that I can I can work.
I've always wanted that. Ever
It's
since
just,
I saw the first one, I was like, ooh.
but like space, like I barely have space in my garage for the crap
Same.
I do have.
Yeah. So the way that I started detection was when I lived in California. I started with Kiki. It was at Real Deal Dog Training, which I'm sure you know him,
Yep.
Dave. He actually had the detection wall that I saw, and I was like, ooh, this is nice. I remember a pivotal point for me where I was really invested, I guess, because I had only done 3 lessons there until we moved. So we moved, and it's still something I wanted to do, but I wasn't really serious about it. We ended up, when I say we, I mean like Sherrod and I and John. We went to train with Langley Air Force Base. This was about 2 years ago now. And they told us to bring our dogs that we had on drugs. And at the time, we had just purchased a fully trained drug dog. I had Kiki. I think it was just those two on drugs. Then we had a bomb dog. But anyways, they set up boxes. It was a super basic, as basic as it gets for a drug dog. And
Yeah.
at the time, I would definitely have not considered Kiki fully trained. I mean, we had only had a few sessions. So they lined the boxes up, and I pulled out the drug dog that we just bought. So I tell her to search, and she goes and takes a shit.
Oh,
Like, yeah. And like she was on a leash. Like I told her to search. I mean, the boxes are right in front of us. I told her to search. She looks at me, walks to the side, takes a shit. So I'm like looking at Sherrod, and I'm like, what am I gonna like? What are we supposed to do? Like it was embarrassing, first of all, and second, like what is wrong with this dog? So I'm like, okay, maybe she just really had to go. Like let me just keep it moving. Let's restart, regroup. So pulled her back. I'm like hyping her up. I'm like, all right, you ready? Ready? Search. And then she goes and pisses.
oh my God.
And mind you, I gave her the chance to go to the bathroom, obviously, before we
Yeah.
did that. And then on the third one, she decided she felt like searching. And the thing about her that pissed us off the most is she was a good drug dog. When she was working, like when she was actually into it, she was on it. She had a great nose, but it was just on her terms.
Right.
Which you can't have a drug dog that just searches when they
Nope.
feel like searching.
Yep. Yep.
So on the third one, she got in. We were like, okay, time to put you up now. So then I pulled out Kiki, and at this point, like I was just like, all right, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
And she was 3 for 3. She didn't take a shit,
Right.
and she didn't piss. I'm like, all right, this is good. Like this is my little backyard bred dog who did 3 sessions, and she hit every single one. I was so proud of her. I just thought that was really funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, since then, so I started her with food, and then John has been the main detection person within the company, and just with us now. He's obviously not really doing that much training anymore, but we use a ball, so we do direct rewards on the odor. Obviously, like we said, I mean, there's a million different ways. So with Kiki with food, we were just throwing food, at the
Yeah.
boxes or whatever. What traits are you looking for?
So I'll tell you. So I initially purchased Lincoln in the hopes of someday him replacing a part. So I purchased him with that in mind. And I always joke that he's my ugly duckling, which is why he looks the way he does, because I purchased him for his work, not for his looks.
I think he's cute.
But a hunt drive, right? Like even as an 8-week-old puppy, like putting food out on the ground, we literally had to drag him away from searching for that food. And for me, that just did it. I just want to see the hunt drive. I don't care if they never find it, but I want to see a dog that will damn near fall over still looking for it.
I think to add to that too is obviously it's important that your drug dog or your prospect, your detection, or I wouldn't even say drug because obviously there's different types, but your detection prospect is solid environmentally because you have a really nice dog who has really nice hunt drive. That's great, but the whole other side of the other beast is can they handle environments, busy environments, hectic environments, different types of flooring, getting up on objects, and just have the confidence to even put their paws on a wall to be able to actually perform in real life or whatever situations you're throwing them in.
And the number one thing I see get dogs with environmentals, like speaking more sort of police dogs than anything, but going back to that, slick floors.
Yeah.
How many dogs just shut down at slick floors?
Yeah.
We worked with a police dog the other day who's actually like a patrol dog working the road, and we brought him into our garage, and like the slick floors, like we have a epoxy on our garage floor, like
couldn't handle it.
Barely holding on with front teeth,
Yeah. I see a lot of dogs with floor issues, and I always make the joke. I'm like, we get these pet dogs for training, and I know that you could relate to this. Like, we get, the doodles, the poodles, the lab, like all these mutts, and I've never had one have an issue with slick floors, really.
Nope.
But then you get these well-bred dogs, or maybe not well-bred, but like shepherds, mounds, whatever, and you bring them on a slick floor and they're like, I'm gonna die.
I can't
I think
do this.
I think I'm dying. So it's just always so ironic how that. Let's talk about Ike. Some of the questions that I got are the biggest challenges working a Great Dane. In your opinion, what motivates a Great Dane versus other breeds? What's your take on that?
So obviously, big challenge for Ike is his size, right? I don't know that you've ever seen him in person, but he's pretty freaking massive. He really is. Even for Dane standards, he's pretty big. So that means he gasses super fast. And that's always, even like when we did his BH and his BT, by the end of the routine, he's just like tongue out the side of his mouth, just smoked. So that's his probably biggest challenge. For other Danes, I would say big challenge would be they can be kind of sketchy, right? They can be pretty nervy. And so overcoming that, I'm lucky. Like Ike has his quirks, he has his nerve issues that crop up, but it's never been in the work. In the work, he just, but he's not like a huge fan. Like if somebody walks up to this van, he like is going to light up on them. Not because he's some big, strong dog, but that's his nerve shining through. But like I said, in the work, he's always been fine. But I think for a normal Dane, because he's not, right? He's like a unicorn Dane. That would probably be a big challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I forget what the second question was already.
It was, in your opinion, what motivates him or just Great Danes in general versus other breeds? So, the differences between him and the herders.
I don't know that it's different. His food drive is just like over the top, like almost too much sometimes. So, obviously with our herders, we like to see a nice balance, toy drive, food drive. Ike has both. He has toy drive as well, but his food drive is like so over the top that sometimes teaching him things like he can lose his mind. But I'm lucky that he generalizes really well. So just as an example, I taught him how to run blinds. I taught him how to bark like a bark and hold. And then obviously he kind of taught himself how to bite a sleeve. Honestly, from years of being in the van and like watching bite work, that just came naturally.
He's like, I got this.
Yeah, literally. I don't know. But so one day I just decided, let me just put all this together. And I sent him to round the blinds. And then as he approaches second blind, I gave him, because he has different commands, I told him his bark and hold command. And he did it. Like he generalizes very well. So I'm lucky about that. But I don't think most Danes would be like that. I really don't. But all of that was taught with food.
I definitely think that's inspirational for other people that have Great Danes that might want to dabble in something, or just anyone with an off-breed dog doing the things.
Yeah, and I wish more people would, because it really is so much fun.
This is a question that I got. How do you limit him in training versus the herders physically for safety-wise? You kind of just answered this already, that he gets gassed quickly. In terms of everything else, it seems like you pretty much do the same things other than just being mindful of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's, knock on wood, I haven't found anything the dog's not at least willing to try, right? Yeah. And I'm very lucky with that. The only thing is I got to watch him gassing himself out, because he does. And he'll go from being like totally fine to like totally gassed really fast. So I just have to kind of be mindful of that. But other than that, nothing. He just does it. I'm lucky.
Yeah, he's just a big boy too. So every time he posts videos and pictures of like you healing with him, it's so funny because you're also kind of short, right? How tall are you?
5'5".
Oh, you're not really short. Okay, so
I'm really short.
I'm like 5'3.5", and I don't feel like I'm super short, but I guess maybe I am. If you think that you're kind of short too, but he looks huge. He's literally like he's basically kissing your face when you're healing with him. I always love seeing those pictures. The last thing with Ike, do you have any plans to compete with him? Which I know you kind of touched, but that was a question that I got.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Do you have any plans to compete with him?
So I'd want to do his scent work stuff in American Schutzen. My hope is to do his scent work one here very, very soon. That's, believe it or not, like I said, it's only 2 articles, but that's going to be a bigger challenge for him. And I found a flaw in my training recently. So when they set up the field for that, you have, I don't know if you know, you have your center line, and there's like it's a 30 by 30, and you have like 2 sides, and there's 1 article on one side, 1 article on the other side. Well, obviously they have like people go out and like contaminate the field, right? Ike has a marking problem, not in the house, but like when we're out and about, like he'll mark stuff. So I think I made sure all of our training environments doing articles were so sterile, because I was so worried about him peeing in the training area. that now when I'm going out and saying, well, now there's this other human odor out here, that's what he's struggling with a little bit. And just struggling to like source odor a little bit more. So that's going to be a challenge for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever plan to get another? Or is Ike so amazing and, like you said, a unicorn that you don't want to have to compare other Great Danes that would come after him?
The $1 million question. So Ike's my 5th Dane.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you had 4. I knew that you had 1 because I've seen you post, but I didn't realize that he's your 5th.
Yeah, he is. And none of the other ones were like this. The 2 I had prior to him that I lost within 2 months of each other, they both knew like a bunch of like pet dog tricks and cute stuff, but no dog was ever like this. So do I want another Dane? Yes, absolutely. My hiccup is going to be, I want this, and I don't know that I'll ever get this again. He technically should have been at a year per contract, but I'm still in contact with his breeder, and there's no way she doesn't know he's not neutered, if you know what I mean. Like, those things are hard to miss. Yeah. And so I've thought about having him collected, but I don't have breeding rights, so I wouldn't be able to register puppies, and then also finding a female that would complement him, I think would be a challenge. There's a couple breeders that I know of that they do like agility and stuff with their Danes that I think would be a nice pairing. But again, I'm not going to get somebody to just be like, sure, we can give this a whirl and see what happens. Unfortunately. Yeah. So I want another one, yes, but it will be hard.
I felt like this was a good question to ask you because you have both, obviously, of shepherds versus Mals. Not really in any particular avenue, but just more so the differences that you see in them, I guess, emotionally, mentally, physically, just as a whole, not really specific to detection or protection or working. What are your thoughts on that?
So I feel like, I classify the Dutchie kind of along with the Mals, right? I feel like they are much more like loving, like up in your face, like want to touch you, want to like be inside your skin. The shepherds, yep. They definitely, they want the affection, they want to be part of it, but they'll like come over, like, I love you, okay, I'm done with you. Yep. Whereas the Mals and the Dutchies will literally crawl inside and stay there. Yep. That's been a big thing that I've seen, is just to touch on the work a little bit, and this has just been my experience. The shepherds that come out, like that are going to be good and do the things, they come out as puppies doing them. Like 8 weeks old, they're biting things and doing them. Whereas sometimes with the Mals and the Dutchies, just because they're not doing it at 8 weeks old, like they tend to come around a little bit slower. I'll be honest, like Truman, for the first, probably I got him at 7.5 weeks, probably until literally right when I noticed he was teething. So about 4 months, he like would do the things and like chase things and bite down, but like not great. And then he went through teething. We did nothing, and he came out of teething like a monster. Yeah. Whereas, like I said, I feel like shepherds, like Lincoln and Reagan, like they came out at 8 weeks doing the things. Like at the time, I didn't know any better. I worked Lincoln through teething. He never skipped a beat. I couldn't have done that with Truman.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, because this is something that I noticed myself as well, that some of the nicest Mals or Dutchies out there weren't the most impressive puppies.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen a lot. I've been out to a lot of different clubs to where the Mals or the Dutchies, I mean, it's mostly Mals. I haven't seen that many Dutchie puppies, except for Fuego's now 30 children. But where I'm just kind of, obviously as a trainer, I understand that all they really probably need is maturity, but they're not, chasing, biting super hard, maybe not as interested. And obviously this isn't all of them, but I've noticed quite a few. Yeah. And I agree with what you said. Usually when you're going to have a shepherd that works, they are doing it as puppies. I mean, all of the ones that I've raised as puppies for sport, which would now be 5, were biting, chasing, barking at
right out the womb. Yeah.
Yep. So I thought that was interesting, because I think it's definitely a misconception, or maybe just someone's different experience. But I feel like a lot of people, including myself, before I was exposed to as many Maladutchi puppies, thought that they're all coming out of the womb biting, which a lot of litters are, but a lot of them also aren't.
Yeah. So, and people just have to be patient.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that you said that, because I've never really heard anyone say that, and I was thinking about that a few weeks ago, so that's pretty funny. Pretty much the same thing that you said with the affection is very true. Fuego's not like that at all. Fuego's an interesting boy. But Akuli is a whore for affection. And same thing for the majority of males, especially female males, I will say, are the same way. I know a lot of males are like that too, but we don't have any males. And within the company, I had Ember, we've had multiple males, and friends and stuff with their mouths. They're like you said, they want to live inside of you. That's why I always call Rue my Mal, because she's just affectionate in that same exact way. She needs to be on top of me all the time. Her head needs to be like here. She literally would crawl into my skin, like you said, if she could. She just wants to be one with me. She wants to conjoin, be like a conjoined twin, and just be here forever. She probably wishes she was a small dog, so I could just keep her in a purse. Yeah, she would love that. But unfortunately, she's not a small dog, so I can't do that. But yeah, not to go too much into it, but obviously males are generally healthier. I think they're usually more agile. They could usually go for longer periods of time. When you're seeing ring dogs, they're going 45-minute routines. Unless I really condition them, but even then, like my shepherds, maybe Rue has a lot of endurance, but Jersey and Savvy wouldn't make the cut unless I really had to work hard at it. Where obviously Fuego and Akuli, like they'll just pretty much go. There's so many differences, but there's so many similarities. I think a really well-bred shepherd and a really well-bred Mal are pretty close in terms of what you could expect out of them.
I agree with everything you just said there, especially the endurance piece, the agility piece, right?
There's this one video that always circulates where they're literally in ring, they're jumping long, distances. So that's always interesting. I just know that Savvy could barely clear a 1 meter jump, because we were just talking about this, weren't we?
Yeah. Yes, we were.
Like Savvy and Lincoln, Savvy can jump. As a small puppy, I remember multiple times she would jump over the back of my couch, and it was so high for this small puppy. I'm like, oh, you're going to be awesome at jumping. Like, this is amazing.
She said, nope.
And then we're getting, to the time where we're teaching jumps, and she's knocking it over almost every time. I mean, she just started clearing it, not because I don't know, I just gave up, so I don't really know why she just decided to clear it, but she did. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, Mal are definitely more agile overall.
Yes.
Their bodies are built for it too, and they're usually smaller. How were you introduced to sport? Are there certain people that inspire you to keep going, or inspire you in any way?
So I was introduced to it after I got apart. And I don't even honestly really remember, but I stumbled across PSA. There was at the time a PSA club, like kind of sort of in our area, and I only had a part. I didn't even have plans of getting Lincoln. As a matter of fact, I was on the wait list for Grant. And we at the time didn't know when they were breeding, and I just went out and, the dogs that were there, like, they were like PDC level, but for somebody like me who just had a police dog who like just heels next to me, right? I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing, and I just kind of fell in love with that. And I will be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with PSA as a sport. I love going out and teaching my dogs things and like working through those challenges with my dog. Do I like competing? I'm a terrible competitor because I cannot control my nerves. I mean, you've seen me at a trial, like it's bad. It's pretty bad.
Well,
so that's why I say
you're definitely more collected than you seemed more collected than maybe you felt internally, because you did good.
Well, I put on a good front then. But I'm a disaster, and I like torment myself about it. But I do enjoy. For me, it's not about and I don't say this just because I know what I have in my dogs, but like, it's not about the trophies and the ribbons. For me personally, it's about doing the thing with my dog that we have trained and worked so hard to do. And that kind of inspires me, is being able to hit that level and teach the dog something they didn't know. And I find that really fun. As far as like people who inspire me, obviously Sean and Janet are huge inspirations for us. Zach and Sean are incredibly close. Sometimes I joke that they're boyfriend, because he talks to Sean. He talks to Sean more than he talks to me sometimes. But just the success that they've had. I mean, they're legends in the sport.
Yep.
And then
they inspire pretty much everyone, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And then Josh and Alyssa, if anybody's not had the opportunity to train with them or get to know them, just two genuinely good people. And I've seen them train and title dogs of different personalities and different calibers. And to me, that's awesome. And I like training with them because it doesn't matter what dog I pull out or what issues I'm having. they're very supportive and like willing to help and work through the issues. And even like I'm very down, exactly, I was going to say, I get down on my dogs. I'm like, oh, they suck at this, they suck at that, whatever. But like Alyssa and Josh always find a way to make it a good session and find the silver lining and stuff like that. And that gives me hope. And then most recently, Yuri on the American Schutzen side of things, helping me work through some things with Lincoln and Reagan and teaching Reagan things that she didn't know. And that's a huge, huge inspiration to me. And I'm actually going to his helper engineering garage in May, and I'm super excited to learn from him. I signed up for a working spot. So I'm really, really excited for that. So
I
those
hear
are
really
like
great things about him.
he's
I've
amazing.
never been able to meet him or see him in person, but I've literally only heard positive things about him.
We'll go to through. He comes to South Carolina once a month, to Teresa's place for 3 days, and like you can go out there on Friday and watch dogs progress from Friday to Sunday with him. It's unreal. It's unreal how he reads dogs and can channel dogs. Like best I've ever seen, hands down. And he's truly amazing. And I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity to get to know him. Zach's done his helper engineering garage now. I'm gonna go. And like I said, just watching our dogs progress and be successful with him is awesome.
What are your least favorite things and your favorite things about PSA and then also American Schutzen? You could just tie them both into it.
My favorite thing about American Schutzen so far is probably the camaraderie and the community. I don't know if it's just because I'm lucky enough to where I go and hang out. Like I'm not part of the club, but Teresa has been so grateful and gracious in letting us not grateful, sorry, and letting us come out and train with them and stuff like that. And again, just the support system there. I do enjoy the detection side of AS, obviously, going back to my nerdy side, very much. What I enjoy least about AS is the precision and the obedience, because I am not the greatest obedience trainer. So me getting to that level, like I get my dogs out and I'm like, okay, nobody watch, because my dogs are not as good as y'all's dogs when it comes to obedience. So that's a struggle for me. PSA, like I think I kind of already talked about it. Like I love the challenge of it. The like being able to teach the dog a multitude of different things and preparing them for all of those things. And as much as I love that, I hate it also, because the way my brain works, I'm probably better suited for something like AS, where it is a strict routine, like every time, because I panic about surprise stuff, like getting Reagan ready for her one. Like, oh my God, what have I not shown her in the handler attack? What are they going to pull out that she hasn't seen?
Same.
And so that's something I worry about. And I might get a lot of flack for this, but sometimes the community of PSA is not the kindest, especially to its own. And that bothers me, because we never know, and not to be all high and mighty or anything crazy, but you don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know what somebody else's background is. So if you don't know, just don't worry about it, you know? And that's something that does bother me about the sport quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was actually just talking to someone about this recently. One thing that I've noticed is that, I don't know about you, how long have you been doing PSA or in the community?
2019.
Okay, so that's pretty similar to me. I think it was 2019 when I went to my first seminar. I feel like the last year or two, it's become a lot worse. PSA by far to me, especially because at the time I was really only around people that did IGP. So when I got into PSA, I was like, this is amazing. Like, these people are so awesome. I thought it was by far the most welcoming sport. And I had also been to ring clubs as well. I mean, I've been to every other sport club. And PSA by far on both coasts was the most welcoming. And especially when you're first starting a sport, I mean, that's super important that you're feeling welcome. And when I was starting, it was with Jersey. So 9 times out of 10, he was the only shepherd there. Yep. Actually, really 10 times out of 10, I had never been to another club at the time where there was another shepherd. I think it's gotten worse recently because the sport has blown up so much, so quickly to the point where no one can even find judges, you know? It's hard to get a judge out at this point, and I definitely agree that recently it has been like that. I will say that I've never had a bad experience with the PSA club so far, but again, recently, the last year or two, I've heard a lot of people that have. So, yeah, I definitely see that, and it sucks. Tara decoys. Do you do helper work too, or mostly like suit stuff?
Mostly, or all suit stuff, but I'm going to start to learn that in May with Yuri.
Awesome. So, Tara decoys. just being a female handler in general, being a female officer, being a female in the military, just being a female, you're subjected to people just thinking that you can't do things because you're a girl. Obviously you're the last person I need to tell that to because you've been in male dominated. What's your advice for anyone that wants to decoy, any females that want to decoy? Advice, opinions, anything that you have to say on that topic?
So my start was not good, right? Like literally I got apart. I came back from training. We didn't do any suit work in his, and that's how you know his initial training was bad. We didn't do any suit work. So my first time in the suit was when I got done with school with him, went back to the agency. And I have pictures of my arms and what they looked like after I did my first decoy session. No guidance, no nothing. We were working on outs and recalls with a dog who didn't have either one. So you can imagine how that session went. To the point that like I took the suit off and the lumps on my arm, and Zach doesn't panic about anything. I sent Zach a picture. He goes, "Oh my God, your arm's broken. I'm coming to take you to the hospital." I was like, "My arm's not broken, but it really fucking hurts." Sorry, I just cursed. And I literally drove from that training session. We were going to lunch, and the entire drive I cried because I was in so much pain.
Oh my God.
And then I kind of started learning a little bit. Then I got bit. I took a live bite from a police dog, which is pretty bad. I don't know if you can see my arms kind of jacked up. And then I was like kind of scared, you know?
Yeah.
It really
something like that.
It really did set me back. And then we met Sean, and then things kind of just changed. I learned how to do the things, how to do them properly, how to do them safely. Obviously you can't be safe all the time. Things happen, right? But we try our best to avoid them. But once I learned like the mechanics and how to do the things, but then also watching young dogs progress. Zach, come here. Zach just walked by. And that kind of changed everything for me, right? I really enjoy, I'm never going to be a trial decoy. I don't have the physical prowess for it, and I know that, but I truly enjoy like watching young dogs and helping young dogs. And I think what I lack in physical ability, I make up for in my ability to look at a dog and then say, "Oh, we need to do this or tweak that," and problem solve.
Yeah.
Come say hi. I'm making Zach say hi because he just walked by.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Zach is the Mercedes hater over here.
Yes.
John says hi.
John
Yeah,
says
it's okay. I have a Ford Transit, so I know that I'm not struggling with what you guys are dealing with the van.
Stick with the Transit.
Yeah. We've talked about it a few times. I just wanted to close this with one, thanking you for being on my podcast. Obviously, this is something new, something I just wanted to do for fun. I was literally just sitting here one night feeding my baby, and I'm like, I thought about it before, but nothing to where I was like, okay, let me just do it. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I ordered a bunch of stuff that night. I'm just a very impulsive person, and I wasn't really thinking anything much of it, not taking it super seriously or anything, but I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it so far. So until people start getting bored of what I'm saying or don't want to watch, I'll just kind of keep going. So I just wanted to invite people that I feel like are inspirational in the community, people that inspire me, and just generally good people. So that's why I asked you to be on it. I think you're very inspirational for not only the community itself, but also for females in general. Any girls looking to do all the things, because like I said, you've done all of the things. And you and Zach are definitely, as a couple, a power couple, an inspirational couple. You guys are always training, working your dogs. There's sometimes I feel like you talk to people on social media or online, and then when you meet them in person, they just don't really live up to what you thought. And maybe they're not as friendly as they were online, and you're just kind of like, oh. But meeting you guys in person, you were awesome. So you definitely lived up to it. And it's been awesome to know you two for the last few years at our trial. So thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very, very busy. You guys are always doing something. Every single day, I feel like Zach's posting the infamous screenshot of your mask.
On the road again.
Oh, just another 36-hour drive. I'm like, oh my God. You guys are crazy.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I always feel weird, like who the hell wants to listen to me? But you are an inspiration to me as well. Obviously, I'm a shepherd girl at heart. I always will be. And I absolutely adore Savvy and Jersey. So I think what you're doing with them is amazing. And I'm excited to watch you trial whenever you get back on the field, and you guys are going to get it.